But yeah, so we're going to get started. And, my name is Marlon. I'm with the Miami-Dade Public Library System. And we're really pleased to be here with you guys today to present our second Tinkercad Tynker Series. That is a collaboration of Black Girls Code, not only Black Girls Code, the national organization, but you see Mr. Leonard right there in the middle of the screen. We're collaborating with them to present this amazing coding series for you. And Leonard, did you want to say some words, sir?
Yeah, I just wanted to welcome everybody. We're excited for everybody to participate in this week's webinar, and I hope you guys have an amazing time today.
Fantastic. I like it. People are actually typing in the chat room. People from Maryland. You guys can type in there where you're from. I see Maryland, New York. So, and also maybe like why you joined us today. If you want to go ahead and put in some little information, it always helps us to know who's here and what are you looking to get out of this. Have you done coding before, stuff like that. Okay, look, we got North Carolina, Lexi from North Carolina, San Diego, Detroit, word, all right.
Miami.
Elaine from Washingtonville. Where's Washingtonville? And Lanaya is from Seattle. Wow, Leonard, you hit it out of the park when you sent it to everyone. Elizabeth's from New York, Morgan's from Maryland, Halia is from Georgia, Illinois, but Florida right now. Wow. Wait a minute. This one says Eva from Greece. Oh my goodness. From Miami right now. Awesome. All right. So I'm going to stop talking and you guys can go ahead and feel free. You can all look at the chat. And we have some folks who are kind of checking the chat room. And if anybody has any questions, you can type it in there and then we'll get to questions at the end. Let me turn on my agenda so I know what we're doing. As I mentioned, we're from the Miami-Dade Public Library System. You're going to be hearing from our library staff and, me as the coordinator of our maker spaces. If you guys ever, go to our library's website, which is mdpls.org, and you can look up You Make Miami Maker Spaces and the Technobus. This stuff that we're teaching you, you can come into those spaces and do this stuff. You guys should also get in touch with Black Girls Code if you already have it, because they're doing amazing things all across the country. And we're going to give you a chance when we send out a survey later for you guys to get on their mailing list. But yeah, we also have a third partner in this, which is Denise Mendez. She used to work with Magic Leap, which is like, kind of like HoloLens and Oculus and, PlayStation 4 virtual reality. Magic Leap is a company that does, headsets and gaming equipment that's like for spatial computing. But she couldn't join us today, but she sent her well wishes. Maybe she'll join us. I don't think she's here right now. But yeah, so we just want to thank everybody, Magic Leap and Denise Mendez, Black Girls Code, and the Miami-Dade Public Library System for presenting this. And thank you all for coming. So we're going to go ahead and get started. And as you know, we're teaching you guys this because we want everybody, especially you young people, to know that if you learn these skills right now, get these skills under your belt. Because, me and Edward, who's going to be talking in a minute, we're getting ready to do a presentation in a couple of weeks that talks about how coding jobs that are all over the world, but especially in the United States of America, they're going unfilled. So I'm going to turn it over to our library staff, and you guys take it away. And we're going to get into Tinkercad 3D modeling today.
Awesome, Marlon. Thank you for that. I'm going to get us started right away. For those of you who didn't attend our last webinar, I'm going to do a quick little recap, little overview, just to get you guys up to speed. So give me 1 second. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. All right, can everybody see my screen?
Yes.
Awesome. So we're going to be going to tinkercad.com. You'll see this is the home page. If you've already created an account, we're going to go ahead and go into sign in over here. If you haven't created an account, we do have an email that provides instructions on how to do that. So if you need to recap of that as well, be sure to look for that in your emails. So for now, we're just going to go ahead and sign in. I'm going to click here. If you have an email address, I personally have a Google email, so I'm just going to sign in with Google. And once you log in with your email and password, you're going to see this page right here, which is kind of like your gallery view. So you'll see here is my name, my icon, and the designs that you create will be generated here. Tinkercad has a weird way of creating its weird made-up names for your projects, but you'll be able to rename them yourself afterwards. For now, we're going to get started with a new design. So we're going to go ahead and click on Create New Design. So once you click on that, you're going to see what's called the Workplane, which is this big blue grid right here. I'm going to go over just the camera views on how you can rotate it around so you can get a better look at your object, how to drag an object onto your plane, and some of the different properties that you can change of your object. So I'm going to start off with over here on the right-hand side. You'll notice that there's a bunch of basic shapes like a cube, a sphere, roof, etc. If you click here where it says basic shapes, it'll have a little drop-down menu of different categories of shapes that you can choose from. So for example, if I were to go to text and numbers, if you wanted to like maybe make a name tag or have some numbers in there, you can drag some text and change what it says if you want to write like a little keychain or something like that. Another example is under characters. You'll have like little hands, some glasses, a little ice cream cone. These are all pre-made objects that you can bring in here and combine together to create new shapes. So for now, we're just going to start with something really simple like this box. So to bring the box into the plane, I'm going to click and drag it so that it's over here and let go. So once we have our object in the plane, you'll notice this little window pops up. At the very top, it says solid and whole. Now what whole is, if I click on that, you'll notice that it kind of goes transparent with these little lines going across it. This will come in handy when you're manipulating shapes later on, because if you want to create a hole inside your object, like let's say a cube shaped hole inside another cube, you can do this to create some negative space in your project. For now, we're just going to stick to keeping it a solid. When you click on solid, you'll notice that there's a whole color palette that shows up. This is really for your own point of reference. This isn't going to affect what color the object is going to be if you choose to print it later on, because that's what you pick a filament color for. But for now, you can just go fun with it and just pick whatever colors that you like, just for your own viewing. Right below solid, you'll notice there's a couple more properties here. This one here is radius. You know that a square has these sharp edges. When you manipulate the radius, it kind of rounds off the edges a little bit and makes the corners a little smoother. So the more you drag it, the higher the radius, the rounder it's gonna get. And then down here with length, width, and height, you know, this will make it more of a rectangle, make it longer, wider, or taller. These are manual ways to do it. Another way to manipulate these dimensions is that you'll notice there's these little markers around your object. If you click and hold this little cone at the top, this will move your object up and down. While this one creates this little circle around it, will help you rotate your object. Earlier, I mentioned going over the different camera views for your object as well. So I'm going to refer to the left side for a moment, this cube that's right here. You'll notice it says top, front, and so forth on it. Let's see what happens when I click on front. You'll notice it moves your plane automatically to give you the front view of your object. If you click and hold this, you can also move it around manually. Clicking on the actual word will snap it to that view automatically, or clicking and dragging it will allow you to move it freely. This is good so you can get different angles of your object as you work on it. If you click on this little home button down here, it'll bring it back to the default view. Down here, you'll notice a plus and a minus. This is to zoom in to get closer on your object or zoom out to see it further away. Those are just some of the basic functions of when you're getting familiar with your workspace. So now we're going to get into creating our first object, and I'm going to have my coworker Dinah take it from here.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jaden. Hey guys, I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen with you guys. Just let me know if you see my screen. Do you all
Yeah.
see my screen?
Yes.
Perfect. Awesome. So hey guys, I know that some of you have heard of Minecraft out there, right? Anybody who's heard of Minecraft? You could type it in the chat right now. I'm not that familiar with it, but I know the kiddos love it and always play it. So I wanted to show you guys some cool stuff. I got inspired by Minecraft. I actually went and researched it and got inspired to create my first little creature here. Well, he's not a little creature. He's actually a cute little pig. I know he doesn't look like a little pig right now, but I wanted to show him in separate pieces so that you guys can see how with just one object, actually, I stand corrected. I actually used another shape here, which is the cylinder shape. But if you see the body from the toes to the nose to the ears, they're all made out of that one cube, right?
By the way, Dinah, everybody's saying that it does look like a pig, and that they guessed it right away. So
Awesome. Awesome. So I'm going to show you my cute little pig over here. Yay. So I'm actually really proud of this pig. So I wanted to show you guys how out of these blocks, I was able to create this Minecraft inspired pig. And it was really fun doing it. It takes me a long time to actually do it, but I know that if I can do it, anybody else can do it. 3D Tinkercad has been really fun, and just exploring it with my coworkers as well, because we've been able to use this feature where we're actually able to share one link and we're all able to work simultaneously, even live, together in this collaborative project that we created. So I'm gonna go ahead and bring my little pig right here. Actually, I wanted to show you this cool thing before I move on. If you notice here, my pig actually has all its colors. But this cool little function that my coworker showed me the other day, he said, hey, I was like, well, my pig, I don't want to group it because it's going to lose all its colors. He's like, Dinah, just go and click on the multicolor preset and you're good. And I was like, okay. So I went ahead and create my cute little pink pig. Now I'm going to go ahead and copy my pig. Let's go ahead to our option right here. We're going to copy him, and I'm going to take him to this little farm here that we all did together. So this farm actually, it began with just simple objects and just thinking, I'm like, well, what can we collectively do together? So my coworkers, Eddie, Hector, myself, and Jaden all worked together, and we were able to input all of these cool things together. So let's go ahead and paste my pig. Ooh, now my pig is out of place and completely out of scale, and he's stomping all over my flowers. So we want to go ahead and make him to the proper scale. Let's go ahead and click on Shift button, and you see your little marker here. You want to hold it down and bring him down. There, now he looks like a pig that actually belongs in this farm. So he looks a little lonely. Let's go ahead and copy him again. Let's not paste the other one, because if I immediately go and paste the other one, then I'm gonna get, oh, I actually already did. So let's go ahead and give him another little friend. Let's paste another little friend in here. And there you go, he has 3 little pigs. So another cool thing that I was trying
how
to
did you get it there?
Huh?
Elaine was just asking, how did you get it to that spot? So just sort of maybe reminder that you just copied and pasted.
Correct. I copied the object here. So you see how he's selected, it's in blue. I go ahead and copy it, and then I could go ahead and just paste him. And there he is. Now he's got 4. Cool. Any more questions?
No, that's it.
Awesome. So I actually also worked on these flowers. It took me a long time to get these flowers. Can anybody guess, just by looking at it, what shapes did I use to make this flower? Just by looking at this flower. And I purposely left this flower undone so that we could all see it,
Someone said oval.
right? What else?
It looks like the chat room is saying oval. That's what everybody thinks.
Oval, right. I used a cylinder and I definitely used a sphere. So good eye, guys.
Someone said cylinder also.
Cool. So let's go
Hi,
home.
Tina.
Yes.
See, we also had another question on how did you move from the first screen with the pig to the second screen with the farm?
Okay. I actually had it here on my tab ready to go, but I would be more than happy to help you. So once you're done here, remember I copied and pasted my pig. I copied the pig. I go back to Tinkercad right here. Now it's going to load and see it's going to be saving your work right here, right at the bottom. Thank you for that question. And I apologize for that. And you see, once it brings me back to my designing platform, and then I could go into my farm. You see my 3 little pigs? This is in real time, so that's the cool thing about it. Let's go ahead and tinker this. And voila, I'm back here again, and I have my 4 little pigs, and that was easy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. So now that I'm done with this part, I'm gonna go ahead and pass it over to my coworker, Eddie. And we're gonna go ahead and he's gonna show you how to create this cute little house over here. Eddie, you ready?
Yes, I'm ready. Hello, my name is Eddie Conwicks, and I work for the Technobus and for the You Make Space. I work with Dinah, Jaden, and Hector. And I'm going to share my screen now. There, I'm going to find. Let's see. It's not doing it. Let me get.
By the way, we see you guys have some questions, so we'll take some questions if we have a chance at the end. I see one person's asking about Blender.
That's right. Blender is a pretty cool platform that I know that if you start using like Tinkercad and as a beginning tool, you could really start helping yourself to build skills into Blender. Don't know, I haven't personally worked with Blender, but my friends who have, that's what they keep telling me, like you really have to practice, and Tinkercad is a good beginning.
All right, so can everybody see my screen?
Yes.
Excellent. So thank you very much, Dinah, for your wonderful explanation on how you created the little pig. Now we have 4 pigs there. And as you can see, these flowers that she created are all grouped, which is very interesting. When an object is grouped, you can move it around just like this and place it. And if you look up here, this little button up here, when you highlight something, this button here is ungroup, which is Control-Shift-G. If you press that, then you could ungroup it. And then you can manipulate the object separately. I don't know why it's not doing it right now. Nope, doesn't want to do it. But this one's already ungrouped. So over here, I'm going to show you guys some of the Minecraft inspired objects. This one over here is a Minecraft inspired tree. As you can see, it's made up solely of blocks, which is multiple blocks, and it's only the box. Like I literally just made this out of boxes and I grouped them together. And I'm gonna show you guys one of the other objects over here is this barn. So there's 2 different types of barns here. One is a simple barn with a curved roof, which is like a round roof. And if you can see, there's an empty space inside of the box over here. And I'm going to show you guys how I did that. And then over on this one, you see there's a negative space created in, you know, an indoors to the barn as well, and a little barn door that's curved, that's sticking out. So I'm going to show you guys how I did that. And one of the beautiful things about doing this is you can make almost anything that your imagination can come up with. And as Marlon was saying, it does tie into the creation of video games, artwork, architecture, all sorts of different jobs that you can be doing. So I'm going to take the box. I basically just dragged it in, just like Jaden explained. And I'm going to shape it. Now there's two ways to shape. And one is just by dragging the corners and making it the size you want. Or you can go here and manually type in the length, width, and the height if you have exact measurements that you want it to be. So I like just to drag it. Now, one of the neat features is this is the Workplane, and it's where everything you drag onto here is going to be on basically touching the bottom, the Workplane, where it's at right now. So right now my roof is on the ground, and I can place the roof by grabbing this little arrow and moving it up and then dragging it. But that's kind of hard to do. That's one way to do it, but that's not the most accurate way to do it. So one of the neat features that I'm going to show you guys is this. You can actually change the Workplane by clicking up here, and the shortcut is W. And when you click on it, you see that wherever it goes, it changes. See, right now it's on the side of the pig. You can actually make the Workplane the side of the pig, but I'm going to make it up here. So if I click on top of this box, which is, now you can see, and I'm going to try and show you guys, now the Workplane is up in the air. So let me know if everyone can see that the Workplane is now up in the air. So when I drag something onto here, which is going to be this roof, it's going to be up here, all ready to go, perfectly on top of the house where I want it to, or the barn where I want it to be. And then I just drag it to fit the right size.
That's pretty cool.
And it makes it easier. It makes it easier. So you don't have to be manipulating too much. So now, but the important thing is you do have to change the Workplane back, because everything you put on here is going to be at that level. And I don't want that, because that's going to get a little confusing. So you have to click on Workplane again over here and bring it down so that, see where it turned blue? Now it disappears because that's the floor. So it's everything is that I place is going to be back on the bottom. And I'm going to bring out another box because I want to create this door. And you can see the box is pretty much a staple shape over here. You can make the door, bring it down. And one of the, and how did I get the door to turn like that? There's these little arrows on the bottom here. You can kind of just turn it, and you can change the degree. And this is how you can manipulate that. So now I'm going to change the color to brown and bring it in. But there's one thing I forgot. I forgot the doorknob, and then I forgot to create an empty space inside. So I'm going to show you guys that real quick. Take the box and go in. Now you notice I'm constantly adjusting the view. And that's one of the beautiful things about working in 3D is you never have to be stuck with one particular view. You know, you get it to just where you want it so that you can get the job done. And in this case, if I use this tool here to the left, I can zoom in, I can zoom out a little bit. That's about right. So now I bring this thing in, and there I am making this space roughly, I would say, yeah, roughly about that size. And then now in order to group this, and this is something that you have to do when you're going to make the hole, you have to click on the object, hold down Shift, and then click on the rest. So I basically clicked on the roof, the part of the house, and the empty space. And I'm gonna click group over here. Control G is the shortcut. And as you can see now, there's a hole, but the house turned red. So what did Dinah show us the last time? We click here under solid and click multicolor so we can get our colors back, if that's important to you.
Can you show us one more time
Yes.
just how you group everything? Just so
Sure.
everybody
Okay, so sometimes this happens, you can, if it loses the thing, you can click refresh and it'll come right back up. This happened a couple times when we were practicing, and it seems to be an issue with Tynker and sometimes it just comes right back, other times it doesn't.
By the way, guys, we're going to be sharing these videos with you, so you can go ahead and look at them, you know, at your own pace as well.
So Hector, if you can do me a favor, he was going next. If you can share your screen while I try and fix this, because since Hector is already there inside the shared screen, he can go in.
Yes.
Because right now it's
Let me see if I can do
refresh.
sure thing. This.
Yeah, so you can show
It
the
works.
door and then we can move. We can
Sure. And actually, I can take over while you troubleshoot the issues. This is one of the cool things that can happen when you're sharing. And I'm going to talk about the sharing option a little bit later on. But 2 or more people can work on the same project at the same time. Like right now, Eddie was showing the grouping feature. To do the grouping for Marlon and everybody that was inquiring about it, you click on an object, and then you can press Shift and click on the other object. Oh, right now it's already grouped. Sorry, let me ungroup them so that we have, oops, looks like it's refreshed. No worries. Let me actually switch. I have a backup, so I'm gonna kind of create the same thing with the house really quickly for you. I'm not gonna worry about the door.
Did you guys
So we
know
have the Workplane and put a little roof. So I'm gonna drag the roof right on top.
we can't see it?
Yeah, you have to stop sharing that screen.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Let me try sharing again.
I don't know if you guys noticed, but I actually moved the pig, or Mr. Bacon, like Mr. Bacon are calling him. That's funny because I actually wanted a pig Bacon. I wanted a pig to name him Bacon. Anyways, I'm vegetarian, so I could do it. And so if you guys notice, I actually moved Mr. Bacon inside, and I can make him live. And I know some of you told me to make him big.
I don't think we can see your screen. You want me to
No,
stop
I'm talking
sharing?
about yours.
Yeah, Hector's screen now.
Hector's screen. Got it.
So to group the objects, you can click on one and you press and hold the Shift button. You can click on the roof, and then let me minimize this. Right here at the top, there's this little button that says group, or the shortcut, which is Control G, and that groups it together. Now, when you group an object, as you can see, it turned one solid color. But if you want to keep the same colors that we had originally, you can click on solid and click on the multicolor feature, and that keeps each shape independent. Now, you do have all of these preset colors. As you can see, I can change, for example, the bottom of the house. Let me ungroup them so we can see that better. Click on solid, and we can change different colors. But you're not limited to all of these that are under the presets button. You can also customize them. For example, when you click on the custom button right next to it, and you can literally pick any color you want. You can move around this button in the wheel, and that can turn it into a blue or purple or red, which is kind of what we had originally. And there you go. When you're done, we can group them again. And there's a little house. Oh, let me go back to, again, multicolor to keep it together. All right. Now, what I wanted to show you guys originally, I'm gonna create a new object, which is a snowman that we have on the little farm. Hopefully we can get the project back on video for you. But you guys can follow along if you like, and if you have any questions, you can put them on the chat. So I'm gonna use the sphere that is right here, the sphere shape. So let me go ahead and delete this. And to delete an object, you can select it and either click delete on your keyboard, or there's this little trash can right here on the upper left corner. I'm gonna click on that so we can start a new project. And I'll move the work plane so we have it nice and centered. And I'm gonna drag this sphere down into the work plane. And as you can see, there it is. I'm gonna create the snowman so it has 3 circles. The bottom one is the biggest one. So if you click on this little white button, you see that there's some numbers, and this basically tells you the dimensions of the object. On the bottom, we have the width, then the length, and the top one right here tells you the height. So this object, I'm gonna make 32, and I click on the other one, type 32 again, click enter, and 32 on the bottom one, and click enter again. But if it's a snowman, I don't want this color, because obviously a snowman is white. So now I click under here where it says solid, and I'm gonna go to the presets because we already have a white over here, and click on that one. And you see we already have the bottom part of the snowman. You can zoom in to a little bit closer because this is far by clicking on this button or the shortcut F to fit the figure into view. So I'm gonna do it right now so we can get a little bit closer. There we go. Maybe back up a little bit. You can zoom out by clicking the minus button. So the easiest way to duplicate this is by clicking on this button right here. Control D or duplicate will copy the same object, but it puts it right on top of the other one. So in order to see it, I have to move it, which is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna click on this little arrow. So click and hold and move it up. And I want it to be attached to the body, so that's it. But of course, I don't want it to be the same size as the bottom one, which is the torso. So I'm gonna change the size again, click on the white buttons, and I'm gonna click and have 24. Go into the other one, 24. And on the top, also 24. And you see something happen, it looks a little bit crooked, but don't worry about it right now. I'm gonna go ahead and fix that later on. Right now, I'm gonna work on the head of the snowman. So once again, I click on the middle part. Make sure it's selected. When you see this little blue outline, you know that you selected that object. I'm gonna click again on duplicate, and I'm gonna drag it up with the arrow. Now the head, of course, it's gotta be a little bit smaller. So I'm gonna click 16. Oops, let me move it up so you can see it. 16 and 16, and the top also 16. So all sides are even. I'm gonna lower it a little bit. Now, like I said, it's crooked, but there's a really cool feature in Tinkercad. So when you select all of them, I click the first head, then the body. If you press and hold the shift button, it allows you to select other shapes. So press and keep holding shift. So now I have the 3 parts. And if you see on the top right, we have the align button right here, or the shortcut L. And when you click on it, you get these little dots on the floor, which allows you to align the object in whatever proportion you want to use. But I want to center, so front and center will be this one. And I want to make sure that I look at it from multiple sides. So I can look at it from the cube right here, turn to the other side. You see he's leaning back, but I want him to be looking straight on forward. So click again the middle button. So now it's aligned to the center facing front and back. And that's good. And I click the escape button on your keyboard and you can get out of that. Now let me drag the little cone. I click and drag the cone to create the nose of the object, of the snowman. And I'm gonna make this really small. I'm gonna pick 5 for the width, 5 for the length, and I'm gonna click, let me hide this one. I'm gonna click 14 for the height. And of course, as no one has an orange nose, I'm gonna change the color. I can go to the shape color. I'm gonna pick orange. So you see the nose is looking upwards and I don't want that. I want it to look forward. So let me rotate this a little bit so you can look at it here. And when you click on the object, you see these curved arrows, which allow you to rotate an object. And I want it to look front. So I'm gonna type 90, or I can just literally click and drag, but this is a lot easier. You type the number. I'm gonna click on the nose, drag it in here, and with this little up arrow, I can drag it up. Boom. And there's the little nose. Now I'm gonna create the little eyes or actually let me work on the hat. I'm gonna use the cylinder. So this figure, click and hold the cylinder and drag it in here. So I'm gonna create a little hat for the snowman. Gonna change the color to black. You guys should be experts with this right now. Now I'm gonna make the brim of the hat. So for the brim, I'm gonna type in 22 for one side, 22 for the other one, and 2 for the other one. I haven't shown this feature, but if you click on the white square, you can literally click and drag to whatever size you want. And I'm gonna make it 2. Oops, sorry. 2, and let me drag it up. Boom. Now I'm gonna make the top part of the hat, again, another cylinder. I'm gonna put it right in the middle. Don't worry if it's not perfectly straight. We're gonna align it all at the end, like I showed you with the snowman. So click on this orange cylinder, and again, it's gonna be black. And the dimensions for this one, we're gonna keep it simple. We're gonna do 16 by 16. And as you see, it's not straight, so we're gonna correct that. You can click on the bottom of the brim, press and hold the shift button on your keyboard and pick the other shape. Oh, sorry. There we go. And you click on L or this button right here, which is the align button, and again, it's the same thing. We click on the center for the front and center for the side. And we can click outside, and now if you see it, it's perfectly centered. One thing that you want to make sure always when you're working in a 3D plane is to look at your objects from multiple sides, because it can look perfectly fine from the front, but when you look at it from the side, like we saw before, he was leaning back, the snowman. So let me go ahead and pick both shapes again with the shift button, and I'm gonna group them. And I'm gonna bring the little hat and place it on the top of the head. Oops, sorry. Let me look at it from the other side. It's floating all the way over there. So drag it on top of the figure. And you can let it go. So you see how you can easily create objects with the primitives, and you have different objects right here. Cylinders, you have the roof, you have the cone shape, you have the text if you wanted to add a text, a really simple way to do that. Move this to the side. I'll click and drag the text, and can change this. Let me call them Frosty.
Of course, of course.
So yeah, it's Frosty the Snowman. So where it says text, you can type in your name or anything. And when you're done, click enter. And again, I'm gonna rotate it so that it looks front, or you can leave it here in the bottom, whichever you guys prefer. But if you wanna rotate, you can click on this little curved arrow again and literally rotate so that he's facing forward.
So Hector, we have a request in the chat for some eyes on Frosty.
Oh, okay. Do we still have time? Sure, I can do the eyes. I was running a little bit short on time, but I can do the eyes. Let me actually hide this. So I like the Frosty, but I don't want it to interrupt. So this is a really, thank you, Eddie, for the question.
Oh, no,
so
no. Thank you. Thank you for helping out.
On Frosty, if you see this little button right here, which is the light bulb, this hides an object. So you're not deleting it. You're just removing it from the workplace so that you can work on other things. But if I click the little light bulb again up here at the top, now you see the letters come right back. So I'm gonna hide this so I can make it easier for me to work on the eyes. And let me use the cylinder for the eyes as well. So again, I get the cylinder. Let me change the color to black. And the eyes, I'm gonna make them really, really small. So they're gonna be 3 on the side by 3, and not so tall. The tall, I'm gonna eyeball it, make it about 9. So you see it's kind of small. Let me, if you press F, it focuses. Step back a little bit. And again, the eyes have to be facing forward, of course. So I click on it and I'm gonna rotate the eyes. I'm gonna do 90. Ooh. Let me move it over here and let me back up. Again, minus will zoom out. Let me move this. Oh, click it on here, make it easier. Put it right here in the body. And again, with the up arrow, you can move it up. There's one eye. It's a little bit out of the face. Click again and drag it inwards so that's nice and flush. And you see, oops, let me move it a little bit to the side.
Transparency button.
I'm sorry?
You show them the transparency button.
No, not yet. I haven't had the time to show them that one. But as you can see, the eye is right there. Now to duplicate this is really easy because right now it's perfect. You put it in the right place, so it's making it a lot easier for us to just copy it, and it puts it right on top of the other one. Oops, sorry. Let me undo that and move it right next to that. You see, there's the other eye. So yes, the transparency. Sometimes to make it easier for you, thank you, Dinah, for the question. Let me click on the body. You see how you're working on the body, for example? It's in solid shape as it's seen right here, but if you use the shortcut T for transparency, you're able to make it transparent. And you can see the top of the head is touching the middle part of the body, and also the bottom part is also seen. So you see that everything's all together nice and the way we want it. If you want to bring it back to the solid, you can type T again, and it brings it back. Now, once you're done with your project, let's go ahead and make sure that we group it. I'm gonna click and drag and make a marquee. This is another way to group an object. You click outside of the object and drag so that it covers everything. And you click on the group button, and it's gonna turn it all white or black. Let me see what happens. Yeah, it's all white. But we can change back to each original color of each shape by using the multicolor function right here. So now let's say that you wanted to share this with your friends, so send it to your mom or your teacher via email. When you click on the top button right here where it says send to, it brings you to this little page. And you can download a picture of this design and mail it to anybody, and they can open it on any computer screen. You can send it to Autodesk, which is another 3D program, but it is a paid program that is a little bit more advanced, and it lets you manipulate the objects. But what I wanted to show you guys is this one, share over IM or email. And you click on this little button. Oops. And it generates a link so that you can copy that link, and you click this little button, and you can send it to anybody over instant message or email. So that's a really, really cool way. And like I said before, you can share your projects and you can collaborate with your classmates, like we did with that farm original. Let me see if I can bring that farm back. It doesn't look like it's loading yet. But you can collaborate on the project with your friends and stuff. Another thing that is really cool about Tinkercad is that you can export your objects to a 3D program or a 3D printer, like we have at UMake. And like, let me go back to that. You go to export, which is right next to the send to button, export. And you can either export everything that is on your design, like we did the whole farm, or just a selected shape, which in this case is my little snowman. And there's various file formats that you can use. OBJ, which is really popular with other 3D programs. GLB, which is also really good for other 3D programs. But I'm gonna save it as an STL, which is the format that we use for our 3D printer at the UMake Library in West Kendall Regional Library or Miami Beach. And you can save it onto your USB, or you can also email it to your email account and then download when you come over to the library. And there's some limits as to what we can print depending on the size and the time. But it's really cool because you can design an object, print it in the library, and take it home. Things like we did last week, like the keychain, is really, really good. So STL is the format that you want to use for that. And finally, there's also another format called SVG, which is used for laser cutting. We don't have a laser cutter right now at the library, but there are some places where you can do laser cutting onto metal or paper or leather or different types of materials. And that pretty much concludes my presentation of the snowman. If you have any questions, make sure to put them on the chat. And I know Marlon wanted to give a little preview of what we're doing for next week. So over to you, Marlon.
Marlon, I'm sorry. I know there's a question on how to place another object on top of the other, and I believe it was Eva. Does anybody want to take over that one, Hector? I mean, I could share my screen again if you need me to.
Yeah, go ahead.
What was the question?
How to place like an object on top of the other.
The work plane.
Oh, okay, yeah. Okay, the work plan. Yeah, you can do it if you want to. That's no problem.
Okay.
And while you do that, I know that people were talking about Blender. Blender is a really good 3D program. The cool thing is that it's completely free, so you don't have to pay for it. The bad thing is it's a very complex program, so it's not an easy program to deal with. So that's why it's better to start with Tinkercad so that you can understand the concepts and work on 3D objects. But Blender allows you also to animate an object, a character. You can put lights and light your subject. There's also a sculpting feature, so you can do far more intricate objects with Blender.
Okay. Thank you, Hector. And so everybody could see my screen, right?
Yes.
Awesome. Okay, so very quickly, just so that we could put the roof on top of the barn, we go ahead and click on the work plane right over here on the right-hand side next to the ruler. We're gonna click on that work plane, and you could actually, you see how it, anywhere I go, it follows me. You wanna tell it where you want that next shape. So I want that shape right on top of here. So let's go ahead and click it there. And you see this orange work plane? This work plane is now on top of this one figure. So let's go ahead and bring in the roof. And we're gonna put the roof right on top of it. And then obviously you wanna rotate around in order to make sure that everything is aligned. You can look at it from different views, bird's eye view. And then once you're ready, like you're ready to move on to the next object and you want to get rid of this work plane here, click on your work plane, bring it back and click on that work plane and it will disappear. And it'll bring you back right home. Okay? Any other questions?
Yeah, there was another question earlier on how to start a new work plane.
How to what?
Like a
How
new,
to
to start a new one.
Oh, okay, simple. Let's go back to our Tinkercad.
and show them the saving, just so everybody remembers about saving.
Yeah, every time you click here, right in the upper left-hand corner, where it says Tinkercad, you want to click here. And it's going to show you right at the bottom left-hand corner, it's going to say saving your work. So it's going to automatically save it for you, but you want to click on that. And then if you want to create, you want to go into a clean new work plane, create a new design. Then it will take you to a brand new work plane. Cool? Any other questions?
Oh, and also show them how they can practice and how they can,
I'm sorry?
show them where they can practice on their own, how to do.
If you guys are like brand new, you definitely want to get your skills. You know, if you guys want to go back and do some other cool stuff, you could go to Learn right here, Learn. And this will take you to these CL starters. It'll take you to the simple 3D design functions, and they're just simple lessons. You will have to read a little bit, but I promise you're gonna be okay. And we're gonna, you're gonna go through all of these steps. And once you complete it, it's gonna give you, it's the basics of it. Obviously, again, if you guys or this is your first time here, you wanna go check out the gallery. The gallery has a lot of cool stuff that other people have designed themselves. You can get ideas of what you can create. So if you see, like, if you get really advanced on it, you could go beyond just block building, you know? So yeah, any other questions?
Yeah, I have one. It could you like make like I don't know like I don't know how to say this question. Like how far can you place objects up like high?
Oh, okay, well, let's do that together. Let's see how far I could do it. I guess high, really, really high, and I can't see him anymore. Look, he's like in another dimension. Oh no, how am I gonna bring him down? Oh, there you go.
Yeah, it's up to your imagination as to how what you want to create. And you know, I want to make a little statement that people design things because, you know, let's say you want to be an engineer and you want to make something like this little holder. When you're inside of that building plane, you can use the measurements to measure exactly. Let's say you want to build like a propeller for an airplane model, or you want to build some jewelry and you want it to be exactly 2 inches. So when you put the earrings on, it's exactly a certain size. So you can, you know, use the Tinkercad to actually build something that is measured to a specific size. We've even had people who come into our spaces who printed out screws because some of the screws that are inside like one of their pieces of equipment broke. And so they took the screw, measured it, and then they just built it in 3D in Tinkercad and send it to the 3D printer. And we're able to build screws and screw it right into their machine and fix it. So it's really up to you, like how you want to, you know, use this to design different things.
And let me just chime in a little bit. I know we're talking about possible careers that you want to do. And when it comes to 3D design, there's a lot of different careers that you can get into. I have a little presentation, so let me do a little share screen, if I may. I'm just gonna briefly talk about this. So let me play it. So some of the careers that you can get into, just strictly speaking about 3D design, there's game character designer, level designer, 3D architectural renderer, and many more. And here's some examples. For example, a CAD designer creates real objects like Marlon was mentioning, tools. You can create workable tools and you can 3D print them and test them out and see how they work. You can also choose to become a civil 3D engineer and design, like in this example, a train station. And you can look at how the train station is going to look from multiple sides to see how the staircase come into play, how much space you have so that the people are properly within safe distance from the rails. We have other careers such as a 3D architectural renderer, which works on building actual offices or houses or apartments, and you can design your house and look at it from multiple sides. There's also a 3D artist, which is very popular with advertisements, with commercials. So you can become a 3D artist. That's something that's very, very cool if you're more artistic inclined. And finally, I know this is some career that a lot of kids ask us about, is game design. So you can become a level designer, which is strictly speaking the environment, how to do buildings and mountains and the background where the characters interact. Or you can also go into actual character design. And when it comes to character design, you can just be a modeler, which creates the actual objects. You can become an animator, which is once you have the object, you're basically in charge of animating the figure and how he moves or how he or she moves. You can become a special effects person, which basically creates like the lighting conditions, smog and flame and water effects. So there's a lot of really cool careers that you can get into when it comes to 3D design. Yeah. All right, and let me go ahead and stop my.
Yeah, so I noticed that one person was asking, can they share their design? I think it was Nola.
It's possible if they have it at a.
We're not going to do that because what I'm going to give you guys a challenge. You don't know how we emailed you all the directions and instructions and everything. Send us back your design, email it to us, and we'll make sure that we share it not only with everybody, but we'll share it to our social media. so that you can all see it, because we want to see what you're making. You know, that's the whole idea of it. So share, like Hector showed you how to go to the share page. You can go to that, share it, and then export that as, I think, can they export it as like just a flat JPEG, or does it have to be the whole project?
Yeah, no, it actually, when you go to the share, you can send a PNG is the file format that it saves it.
Yeah,
But yeah,
so
you're able to share it, and yeah, that's really cool.
If I could just chime in for a second, it sounds like they were talking about things that they made in Blender, not in Tinkercad.
oh, okay. Well,
Yeah.
that too, you know, that's the thing I was getting ready to talk about next. But I still want to see, I think everybody wants to see what things you guys can create in Tinkercad, because we've only had these two classes. This is the last class for Tinkercad, but it would be really neat if we see some of the things that you all are creating. By the way, just off the top of your head, how many people have already created their own Tinkercad account that's here? Because we sent out the instructions. Have you guys done that already? Okay, so I see a couple of people. Most people are saying yes. Excellent. Very good. Yeah, it's free. Go ahead and go in there, create your Tinkercad account.
Get permission from your parents.
Yeah, check with your parents so that they can help you make it if you're under 17. And then also we sent you the instructions on how to create a Tinker account as well. So that's really simple. Some of you who registered really late, we just sent you just the link to join this class. So we may not have sent you the Tinker instruction. So if you didn't get that, just email me back and I'll make sure that I send that out to you. But go ahead and create your Tinker account, because for next class, which is this coming Friday, by the way, we're going to have a very special treat. We're going to have Daniel Rizak, and he is, let me read his thing correctly. He works for Tinker, and we're, you know, this is very special because he's coming in and he's the senior education partnership lead. He's the education manager for the whole Tinker company, which is worldwide. So he's going to be teaching the whole class this coming week on Friday. So you guys are going to get a lot of really cool stuff to learn, you know, some of the inside things that are happening with Tinker right now. And then the last class that we're doing on the 29th, the library staff that you're seeing here, they're going to be teaching you guys Tinker right and Tinker coding, as Edward is saying. That's about coding. But so if, you know, I've been seeing some people were asking about Blender and things like that. You know, would you guys be interested in seeing other classes? And if so, like what other things would you be interested in seeing us teach?
I have a question.
Yes.
I have two questions. One, can you 3D print what you make in Tinkercad? And my second question is, I would like to see a Blender class. I don't know when that will happen, but I would like to see that. Yeah.
Okay.
I also had something too, if you can hear me.
But hold on. To answer the other question, well, first of all, I'm liking the Blender class. We may want to look into teaching you that, because we have a lot of other stuff we can teach you, like photography and, you know, music and fashion and art. There's a lot of things that all of our staff do. You know, I do my own stuff too. But yes, you can 3D print anything that you're creating in Tinkercad. It can be 3D printed. Like Hector was showing you, when you go to your share, or sorry, your export, which is right next to the share button on the top right, and you hit export, then you're gonna choose that s.stl file, and you're gonna, you know, you go through a couple of motions to save that, and then once you save that file, like on a USB, then you bring it into somewhere that has a 3D printer, like inside of our libraries, for example, and then you can print that, like Hector and Eddie was saying, for free inside of our spaces. Take it home with you. You can go in there and print whatever you want. Well, not whatever you want, but, you know, because sometimes people want to print like really huge things, but if it's the right size, and if it's not something dangerous, we let people print whatever it is that they want, as long as they're learning how to design. Okay. And so someone else had a question?
Oh yes, can you hear me correctly?
Yeah.
Okay. I was saying that I've been editing in Blender a lot lately, and I've made an animation, and I was just asking, like, I've seen people like make Disney characters, like somebody made Ariel, and I think that's in the new Blender. I use the old Blender because it's easier for me to navigate with. So I was just asking how to animate with characters that you've like sculpted, I guess, like how to design characters from scratch, like from I guess a block or something. I don't know how they make it.
Yeah, do one of you guys want to take that question? Because I know with Tinkercad, you cannot animate the items, but what we're going to be teaching you next week, Tinker, I know it's confusing because Tinkercad, Tinker, but Tinker, and I'm going to type it in the chat room so you guys see what I'm saying. Tinker. Uh-oh, something happened there. It was trying to go to just one person. I want to send it to everybody. But Tinker there, you can actually animate the 3D item that you're building, whatever it is that you're coding. Like it's sort of like a, what was that thing that you were doing earlier, Dinah? I can never remember the name of that type of program.
If I can chime in, since this is an animation related question, in Tinker, we have a little character and we're basically teaching you coding, which is like a computer language to give the little character instructions on where to go and how to move. Now that's a little different to Blender, because in Blender, you're talking about 3D modeling a character, and when you're animating or making a 3D model move, that's called rigging. That's something a little bit more advanced. So that's something we'd probably have to look into maybe in the future. For now, we're just focusing on the actual modeling aspect of 3D objects, because rigging and animating is like a whole other ball game right there. But yeah, just to let you know a little bit more about that, that is called rigging. Like if you wanted to look into it a little bit more, animating 3D objects is called rigging. And I'll type it in the chat so you can see that too, like this, rigging. You're basically creating like a skeleton and inserting it into the 3D model so that you can move the joints around. That's what rigging is.
Yeah. But what I was trying to mention also is like with Tinker, you can do like kind of Minecraft type of stuff, and you can animate those items in Tinker also. So maybe we'll get to some of that in one of our classes that's coming up. But do we have any other questions? Because unless we have more questions, we'll go ahead and kind of wrap it up. Oh, there we go. Someone is writing in there what rigging is, a technique for skeletal animation. Yes. All right, so has everybody enjoyed this class? We enjoyed having you. All 41, well, it was about 49, 50 earlier. So thank you so much for coming. You guys have been excellent, great questions. Again, we want to thank Black Girls Code and all the wonderful staff from you guys from there. And definitely thank our library staff from the Technobus and from the You Make spaces, and even Denise, even though she couldn't make it. So don't miss our next class. This coming the 22nd, 4 o'clock. We're going to be going through Tinker from Daniel, who's the education manager from Tinker. It's going to be a really big treat. So create your accounts. Don't be late. And if you have any questions, email it to us. And don't forget to send your projects to us so we can share it with everybody. All right?
Bye, guys.
Thank you so much, guys. Bye-bye. See you next week.
Bye.
Bye.
Next time.
Bye, guys.